Hey guys, I think my wife is lying to me and playing with me, but I can't do anything. The situation has been spread more than it should, and I don't know where to go and what to believe. I'm 33 male, and I've been married to my wife for over 8 years now. We had dated each other before that for 3 years, and in the beginning, everything was normal. You can say we had a happy and peaceful married life. I came from a wealthy family. My father has millions worth of businesses, and I was the only child. So you can say I was born with a silver spoon. I went abroad to study so that I could take over the business. This is where I met my wife for the first time. She talks like a therapist. People will think that my career has already been chosen, and I don't have to worry about anything, which is true. But, I have a huge responsibility to carry. My father was abusive, particularly to my mother, and after marriage my mother never got respect from my dad. She was called a gold digger by the whole family. This was because I was conceived by mistake when my father fooled around with his secretary. That is my mom. She was also called by others who she failed to produce other children after me. I'd witnessed all this and wanted to be worthy. My mom had huge expectations of me, and as I am anonymous here, I can admit that I'm not a great student. So I struggled a lot in my studies. My wife came into my life as a friend, and she used to comfort me while I used to have burnouts. I was in a way craving to seek her comfort. Even when she was my friend, I used to tell her everything. After only 2 years of marriage, I realized that she was extremely money-minded. I mean, it's not like we were in a relationship. I didn't notice that. She used to ask for some money every now and then, and used to tell me that she was borrowing the money and would pay me back. But knowing her poor background, I never even asked to get it back. One time, we really had an uncomfortable situation when she was asking for money to give out to one of her exes. That ex's father was suffering from cancer, so I didn't think much about it when giving the money. But later I found out she gave the money to her ex to buy him a house. Yeah. We had a huge fight because everything about it was weird and immoral. She said that she took money from him when they were together and never paid it back, and now he showed up asking for the money. She said that she was too embarrassed, so she lied. I believed her. Situations like this become common, and I let go of everything with the thought that she was spending money on herself. And honestly, I was okay with it. Things were going, absolutely just okay between us. But 1 year ago, I get into an accident. And it was sort of my wife's fault, see? My wife's ex came into her life again after a few years and asked for more money for some petty reason. Without even asking me, she gave him the money. However, because of that, we got into a heated argument. I was driving the car at that moment, and we were on our way to meet a mutual friend. At one moment, she started screaming and saying that she wants to get out of the car, and ordered me to stop it. Guys, we were on the highway, so I told her to wait a bit. I was planning to pull the car in sideways and fix the issue, but she was out of control, holding the steering wheel and trying to pull it forcefully by herself. In a matter of seconds, I was in the middle of the road, and the truck was coming from the other side. The truck forcefully hit the driver's side of the car, and because of that, I was the one affected. Thankfully, I can say, my wife only got a few injuries, and she got discharged from the hospital after 1 week. But on the other hand, I was in a coma for 60 days. When I got up, I saw my wife and the doctor was there. The doctor said I have short-term memory loss because of the accident. My wife was bawling her eyes out, and I didn't know how that was going to affect me because during this time, all of my memories were clear. One of my legs was temporarily paralyzed as well. My doctor advised me to have a regular checkup once a month and also said I should consult with a physiotherapist to fix my leg. I was tense with the short-term memory loss issue. 'Cause my work will get hampered if it's true. So I asked him what would happen to my work. Well, he said I could work depending on my capability and advised me to get help from my wife too. He told me to ask everything from my wife if I had doubts before doing any work. Well, that sounded valid, because no matter what, I didn't want to stop working. My mom was dependent on me, and my father still scrutinizes every work that I do. He would eat me alive if I just had to sit around and eat. I was depressed after that, though, because whatever I did always felt forgotten. I decided to work from home for the time being. My doctor used to come over every month for routine checkups, and with time the doctor became a good friend to us. My wife was also friendly with him, but things started to get weird for me. Let me give you some insight into some incidents, right? One day, I wanted to go out to dinner with my wife, and I was bored by leaving inside my house for days. My legs, they weren't functioning though. I had to confine myself to a wheelchair, but I was okay with it. I took my caretaker to accompany us, so as I wanted my wife to enjoy the outing freely. She's an outgoing person, and I was not physically available, and she had been going out alone, and I felt bad about it. She had moved to a new city after our marriage, so she doesn't have many friends here. However, after dinner, when we came back, I saw the shadow of a tall figure with a baseball cap, roaming around my wife's bedroom. After that accident, we were living in separate rooms as I had insomnia and used to read books for hours, and it used to bother my wife's sleep. I clearly saw the mystery man in her room, loitering about, sitting and drinking something from the nightstand. I took a few minutes just to ensure I wasn't hallucinating, but when it was clear that it was a living being and not my imagination, I screamed for my wife to investigate. My wife hurriedly went to her room and came back after 10 minutes and declared that there was nobody there. I didn't have any idea about what my wife was doing in the room for 10 whole minutes, but I concluded the matter with the realization that along with my paralyzed leg and short-term memory, I was hallucinating. This incident mentally disturbed me, because I started seeing the shadow of the tall person more frequently after that, and every time I informed my wife, she would also say that I was simply seeing things. Well, guys, obviously I consulted my doctor, and he gave me more medicine for it. Recently, my wife started doing volunteer work. One day, she tells me about some school friends that were in town and she'd be out with them after work. She said that she would be home late and might stay at a friend's house to go do more volunteer work in the morning. When she did not come back that evening, I started to panic. She said that she was meeting a friend and she had not been seeing in a decade, which worried me because people can change over time. Well, by 11 p.m., I could not wait any longer and began calling and messaging her frantically, hoping that she could take a taxi home. She did not answer at first, but eventually called back, telling me not to worry. She was clearly drunk, though, which made me even more concerned and suspicious. I'm not very proud of it, but I verified her emails and the volunteer rota, and she was not on it. This prompted me to explore her search history, and I discovered a slew of queries that plainly indicate that she went somewhere romantic. She returned the next morning, and I could tell just by seeing her that she had a wild night. So, I confronted her at that very moment when she arrived, and she admitted to the searches, claiming that they were merely dreams and that she had been to a club just for some alone time. She said that she had spent the night at the club and returned home right away. She also said that she told me everything the last day, and I was okay with it. So I'm just creating a scene right now. I clearly remember her telling me not to worry, but she said it was because of my memory fluctuation. I got a panic attack all of a sudden. She rushed to my room and gave me some medicine, and I drifted off to sleep just like that, and when I woke, it was like nothing even happened. Guys, after about 3 months, I was able to walk with a bit of support. So one day, instead of calling my doctor for a regular checkup, I thought, heck, I'll visit him. We became friends, so I knew I didn't have to make an appointment for it. I thought if I surprised him, he would be happy to see my leg's progress. It was late, and my wife was supposed to come home late, so I went without informing anybody. In the late hours, the hospital looked deserted, and there was no receptionist. So without telling anyone, I went to the chamber of the doctor. I thought I would just knock and enter up. But when I went there, I hear weird sounds from the inside, and they stopped when I knocked with concern. When he answered the door, to my surprise, my wife was sitting there. They looked more freaked out than me. But after some time, my wife said that she informed me that she was going to visit the doctor after work regarding me, which is why she was there. I said I didn't remember her informing me of any of this. The doctor stepped in and said it's maybe because of my issue with remembering things. He assured me that I would get better anytime soon. This is the situation that I find myself in right now. They're claiming that I'm forgetting things, but I think I remember everything clearly. I think my wife is lying, or cheating, I don't know. But the doctor is saying the same thing. I can't claim anything because I do have short-term memory loss. Recently, my wife had asked for money for her volunteer work, and I said I agreed to give it to her, but I don't remember that. When last time she confessed that she did not go to do any voluntary work, I became skeptical of giving out a hefty amount of money to help her with her stupid work. My mind is so messed up right now, I don't know who to ask. Guys, I'm just gonna beg you, please, help me out. I feel like I'm getting choked up on my surroundings. Update number 1. Hey guys, well, it's what I call update time, so let me get into it. I'm updating this around 6 months later. Sorry for the delay. Thank you guys for giving your opinions. I needed to know that because I didn't want to go insane. It was silly of me to ask you if I have short-term memory loss or not, because I'm just writing here anonymously, so how could you tell that just by my writing? But some of your opinions helped. I got a lot of questions in the comments, and some of them were mean, too. The first question was if I had a joint account with my wife. Sorry, I forgot to mention my father did not like that I married someone without money. He wanted me to marry someone to help our business. When I said I took over the business, it was just a few branches. He's okay with me spending, but doesn't like it when my wife spends on big things. He checks my account, so I lie and say I took the money. Even though I have money, I don't have full control over it. So we don't have a joint account. My second most frequent question was why I don't take advice from another doctor. Guys, the reason I'm anonymous here is that my dad is well known in his field, and because of him, people know me as well too in our town. When I had the incident of the accident, a stranger took me to the hospital and my father firmly said that I should not spread the matter. If somebody falsely says that I was drunk while driving, my career will be over. So I'm relying on one doctor and one doctor only. Now, come to the mean comment, right? Someone said I consider my wife as an outsider, which is why I'm too skeptical about her spending money. I don't know from which part of my story you got that from, buddy, but I was never petty about her spending money. If you even read the story again, you will know that I was more worried about my memory fluctuations than any sort of money. Anyways, in these 6 months, my health has gotten better than ever. I can walk like I used to. My short-term memory loss is, well, it's still very intact, I guess. But thankfully, it's not affecting my work. It's only affecting my social life, it seems. By the way, the money my wife was asking for was really meant for charity, as she invited me to join the donation event as well. I just hope my memory loss doesn't stay forever. Oh, I forgot some people were advising me to check our wardrobe or garage to see if any homeless man was residing there. I didn't have to because after a few days I had not seen anyone in her room. However, recently a creepy incident did happen. My valuable furniture is going missing out of thin air. I asked my wife and she tells me that I told her to send those particular items to a charity, so she didn't. I don't remember that. I don't remember doing that at all. But I might forget about it after saying that. But some of the things there hold childhood memories to it, including my grandma's piano. See, I'm a charitable person, but in a sane mind, I would never give up those things away ever, ever, ever. Every morning, I witnessed some of those missing, and I remember telling my wife to not listen to me if I told her to give those things away, but my wife is saying that never happened. So I'm super confused right now. Is there any way I can make sure it's me who's saying what I'm saying? Ugh. Update number 2. So I've decided to treat this kind of like a journal. You guys have been so thankful and kind mostly, and it's helped me keep a level head during this situation. So thank you. I'm just updating after 1 week from my last update because I'm sure that my wife is cheating on me for real. Let me tell you what happened. I was kind of exhausted and frustrated with everything. I called my mother and she informed me my cousin brother was coming to her house to stay for the weekend. She invited me knowing how close my cousin brother is to me. I thought it would be a breath of fresh air because whenever I am staying in this house, I feel like I'm getting played. I didn't want to act like that to my wife, which is why I needed to calm my messed up mind. My father was out of town, so I thought I didn't have to be scared of him. We were having quality time in my mother's house, but suddenly my cousin asked me how my memory loss works. I couldn't hold myself and told him everything. After carefully listening to me, he suggested I keep a notepad with me and write down important stuff. I thought that would be a brilliant idea. When I went back to my house one day before the weekend, as I had some emergency work to finish by Monday, I saw the doctor was there as well. I was shocked. He doesn't need to visit me often at this moment, and I only go for checkups once a month. My wife cleared the confusion, saying he came this morning to invite us to his birthday party that weekend. But the doctor seemed too comfortable, like he lived there. Even in his clothing, I couldn't say anything, so I said I would freshen up in my room. She said that she would make breakfast and told me to come back to the dining area afterward. But something got into me because before entering my room, I noticed my wife's room was open, so I snuck into her room. And just as I thought, the doctor's dress was on her bed. Even his shaving kits were on the nightstand. Even an insane person can tell that she's cheating. There's no other answer without asking her, but I didn't care. I needed an answer. She said she accidentally spilled coffee on the doctor's shirt, which is why there is still in her room, and she's claiming the shaving kit is mine. I'm sure she's bluffing, and I don't trust the doctor anymore. I'm writing down everything before I start to forget it. I think I'll keep an eye on them from here on out. Update number 3. I'm updating this after 3 weeks from my last update, and guys, I was really close to catching her lying to me, but I failed. I'm really frustrated right now. So, as I said, I've started writing down everything in a notepad and was hoping that I would catch her lying. I was actually pretty darn sure about it, to be honest with you. So, I don't know. I was sure because I have short-term memory loss. Only when it's about her and sometimes when the doctor is involved, right? It was clear that she was lying about this since the performance at my work was totally fine. Even before then, before I closed many deals recently, and my father was so happy that he made me in charge of most of his business. He even told Mom that at this rate he would hand over the whole business to me. I was so happy. So what happened was, one day my bathroom shower wasn't working, so I went to take a bath in my wife's room. I asked her permission, of course, but we don't have a husband-wife relationship anymore. We live like roommates, but I pay the bills. However, my notepad was in my pocket and I left it in the bathroom. I totally forgot it. The next day, my wife asked for $10,000 for charity, and I denied it. She insisted I agreed yesterday and I probably forgot. Well, I said no, I had proof, and I didn't, and went to get my notepad, but it was missing. I remembered cleaning up in her washroom, so I checked there but found nothing. I'm sure she hid it. Despite this, I refused to give the money. We had a huge fight, but I stood my ground. I just feel like my wife is fooling me into this entire thing, but now I've finally gained my senses back after a long time, and I won't allow her to exploit my weaknesses anymore. I know she'll ask me for more money soon, and at the same time, my antique pieces from my house are getting lost. So I thought, you know what? Why don't I just go ahead and install some hidden cameras all around the house? I also asked my cousin to ask his doctor friend to check me up. I told him that this has to stay confidential. My appointment is next week, and I'll let you guys know what happens. Final updates. Hey guys, it's been 3 months since my last update. I have so many things to tell you guys, and first and foremost, I'm not mentally disabled. You remember the last time I told you about my cousin's doctor friend? I went for a checkup without telling my wife or the doctor. After a thorough investigation of the checkup, he said he's not seeing anything wrong with my head. He used some simple memory tests to see how well my memory works. He also did a blood test and brain scans. He also did an MRI and a CT to find any medical issues causing the memory problems. All of them were normal, crystal clear, normal, green. But if I remember correctly, my other doctor did not do any testing. So it was clear that my doctor and my wife both were up to something. After the checkup, I went home and told my wife that I would be out of the state for a week. I wanted to be out of the picture to give the illusion that they could do whatever they wanted freely, and I would not be there to hamper their plan. My hidden cameras were planted in different areas, and I installed all of that when she was at her little volunteer work. I came back and checked my footage, and just as I thought, she was having an affair with the doctor and planning to drain out my money and run away with him. For the week, the doctor was basically living there. I even saw him entering my room. Thankfully, I planted a camera there as well, and I saw him going through my cupboard, taking out my watch and putting it in the pocket of his. Whenever they went out, they would take pieces like vases and paintings with them, and I'm sure they were transferring them to another house where they live. I have also planted some devices to record their conversation. My wife had my notepad in her hand, and she was laughing with the doctor about it. I heard one audio discussion about me being a Dumbo. They were reading out the confusion I had faced and laughing about how they manipulated me regarding the incidents. Guys, I almost cried after being played like that. When my wife saw that he took my watch, she said, "If I keep another notepad, I'll know what he took." The doctor laughed and assured her that if they managed to fool me and made me mentally disabled in front of everyone, it would not be hard for him to make me believe that I gave the watch to him as a present. His next words shocked me to the core. He said if I still opposed, he would prescribe the drugs he had been giving me to make me weak. I could not believe my ears. I never imagined my wife could go to this length to ruin me. They also discussed the fact that she took my other notepad and saw that I had supposed to get the whole company. They were discussing about their next moves, and they were planning to stay a little longer so that they could take more money from me before running away. I'm usually not a sensitive person, but months of torture made me vulnerable. I wanted revenge for making me think I was worthless. Guys, long story short, I reported them to the police with every bit of evidence. They tried to deny all the claims, but all of them were proved wrong. The doctor, he's in jail awaiting trial for drugging me, and he also had all of his license canceled. My wife is still on trial, and one day she called me crying, saying she was wrong for destroying our life together and wants me to take her back. But I sent her divorce papers instead, and I think she'll end up with some jail time as well. I've also taken a restraining order against her, as she tried to come to my house many times. My mom has moved in with me after all of this fiasco, and living with a person who genuinely loves you is so refreshing. I miss that feeling a lot. I'm seeing a therapist that my cousin had chosen for me, and I'm trying to get better day by day. I finally feel at peace with myself, so I guess this is all for my story. Thank you guys for sticking around even when I was acting like a crazy man. Your support has been greatly helpful. Thank you and goodbye.